Will you pray with me? Gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Each December, as the days get closer to Christmas, and much of the world is wondering if they'll ever finish their to-do lists, many pastors wonder, what will I preach this year? Where are people's hearts, we wonder? What questions or longings are we holding this year? The beautiful and familiar story that Deirdre just read for us is the perfect place to start. For it holds so many of our longings, symbolized in a starlit night, an exhausted and anxious couple, frightened shepherds, glorious angels, and a baby impatiently ready to be born. The story literally stretches from the cosmos to the cradle. It's filled with light and love, but also with fear and fragility. And I wonder, where do we feel the story this year? Maybe you are feeling the story cosmically. Maybe that starlit night, those angels singing, opens you up to the awe of the universe, like those marvelous images from the Webb telescope, revealing the magnificence and the mystery of it all, a humble glimpse into the vastness of time before time. And on a holy night like tonight, we can say to ourselves, ah, yes, there is God. In those images of supernova light and galactic swirl, we get a little look at that Creator God, and our words just fail us. As we gather tonight in this place, right now, dancing above this sanctuary are billions and billions of stars, sending their light from millions of miles away, a light that dawned long before the concept of time. This is the awe-filled universe we live in, and God is in all of it. God is all of it. What a marvel that is. What an incomprehensible miracle. Or perhaps tonight you are feeling this story on a smaller scale, a more human scale, one that is entirely too comprehensible. Maybe tonight the story does not so much fill you with wonder, but perhaps a little worry. Perhaps you are feeling how many places in the world are hurting tonight. Maybe the wandering, unwelcomed couple reminds you of so many other refugee families, frightened and exhausted, seeking a sanctuary, a place to lay their heads. Maybe it reminds you that in our very own community there are folks lined up at food pantries, sleeping in the subways and the streets. Maybe you are feeling that young mother giving birth alone, and you remember that there are hospital ICUs once again crowded with isolated COVID patients, or folks with the flu, pneumonia, children struggling to breathe. Perhaps as you feel all of these parts of the story shared all over the world tonight, you are wondering and you are worrying. Where is God in all of this? Where is the miracle here? And so as we gather here tonight on Christmas Eve, we hold together these two realities, the cosmic wonder and our human worry. And in that familiar and beautiful story from Luke, we recognize that they are connected. Because into a mysterious starlit night over 2,000 years ago, God chose to bring the miracle down to earth. She chose to break through our incomprehensible awe and make her love real to us. Not theoretical or abstract, but visible and visceral and vulnerable, to meet us in the most intimate way possible as one of us. For on Christmas, God does the unthinkable. As Pastor Eugene Peterson puts it, on Christmas, God, the author of the universe, puts on skin and moves into the neighborhood. not like a powerful superhero bursting onto the scene to rescue us, but as a tiny baby, born to an unwed teenage mother in a stable of a forgotten town on the outskirts of empire. This is how God chose to bring the miracle closer. This is how the God who is infused in every atom of the galaxy chose to share every atom of our human existence. And it is just as incomprehensibly miraculous, perhaps even more so. As the late and much missed spiritual writer Rachel Held Evans says, the miracle of the incarnation, of God as human being, is nearly impossible to believe. Imagine God shrinking down to the size of a zygote, implanted in the soft lining of a woman's womb. God growing fingers and toes, God kicking and hiccuping in utero, God inching down the birth canal and entering the world as we all do, messy and startled, perhaps into the steady arms of a midwife. God crying out in hunger, God reaching out for his mother, and God totally relaxed, his eyes closed, his chubby little arms raised over his head in a posture of complete trust. This tiny baby, who tonight is so safe in his mother's arms, is the miracle. He is the bridge between the author of the cosmos and the messy humanity he shares with us. She is the God who knows what it is to be weary and frightened and hopeless and lost, to find resilience in the face of war, to flee persecution and poverty in search of sanctuary. This is the God who fights for those who are forgotten, who speaks for those with no voice. This is the God who knows what it's like to sit by the bedside of a feverish child, to be that feverish child. This is the God who knows what it's like to spend months in draining chemotherapy, and also to witness the miracle when a body once riddled from cancer is declared to be clean and clear. The mystery of the incarnation invites us to experience all of it, all of our troubled and awkward and anxious humanness, and say, ah, yes, there is God too. There is God in our plain old ordinary selves, in our hopes and fears, our questions and doubts. God with us in our failures and victories. God with us in the big stuff and the small stuff. God with us on our cold, dark nights and the bright dawn of each new day. This is the good news that pierced that starry night so long ago and broke into our dark world, filled with so much longing and worry and wonder. This is the good news that made the shepherds quake and the angels sing and filled the hearts of two young parents with joy and hope. This is the good news that came through the cries of a hungry newborn child. The good news that God is with us. And so here we celebrate, here we feel this sacred story, human to human and stardust to stardust. So when we leave the warmth of this sanctuary tonight into a Christmas Eve so cold and so dark, let us look up at the stars and wonder, and then let us listen to our own beating hearts and wonder at the love of a God so profound that it breaks through from the cosmos to the cradle. And may we ponder this in our hearts tonight and always. May it be so. Amen.